Hey, welcome to Asian Ignites. Thank you for being here. So, in today's video, I want to talk about the psychological effects of sales and how to tackle them because there is things that we can see with the naked eye, and there are things that we can only hear, and we need to be well armed in order to capture those arguments and to turn them into give the right counter arguments and give them and move them to the next level. So before I do that, I would like to address something that is very important. Somebody may say, well, all this is good and dandy, but the issue is most people I speak to are just not, don't have the fund, they don't have the money, and I'm just struggling to sell people with no money, basically. And here I'm going to stop and say something that is very important. The number one rule to be able to make sales is to not only pre-qualify but making sure that the person who are you are sitting across the table from is able and willing, meaning able he's able to buy what you have to offer and willing to implement whatever you have to your product requires. So this is very, very important. This comes as a precondition of sales, and this has completely different topic that we can talk about it in another video, but it's just very important that we understand that, because a lot of people will hear me talk about the psychological triggers, about the unseen things and all this stuff, and they think, well, I have another problem. It's called affordability. And if we're talking about affordability, you are talking the wrong topic, because that's something that we need to pre-qualify early on in the conversation. All right. So with that being said, let me move into what I want to share with you today. So anybody doing sales will need to be able to handle pushbacks from client. That's a given. That comes without saying. At first, these pushbacks may sound like just objections, but in reality, most of them are noise more than objections. Once we start to pay attention to them and make a difference in try to capture the codes, then we start to identify these false beliefs and offer the right counter argument to overcome them. Now, for any belief to change, we'll need to first change the stories people are telling themselves in the first place. And the good news is false beliefs are always present in every single cell. Better, there are patterns that we can captures that can tell us, hey, this is a false belief that belongs to this category. This is a false belief that belongs to this category, and this is a false belief that belongs to category. In general, there are only three false beliefs that we need to hone in and make sure that we are hearing well. The first false belief is the vehicle. A vehicle is basically, everybody does this. Even when you're trying to sell a product, people will, the first thing that they will doubt and put in doubt, just to so they can push back and make sure that you are not trying to sell them, is to say, well, I don't think even this vehicle is able to take me from where I am to where I want to go, so I really doubt it. And at this point, when we talk about the vehicle, it's just a matter of giving them the right information about the product and making clear that the product is actually can deliver on what you say is can do. This is very easy to overcome, and it comes generally with a few demos, and you can overcome it easily. The second false belief that we come across, it's the internal false belief. And the internal false belief, it all has to do with the software that we've been downloading for so long, since our childhood. And if we believe since our childhood that we are bad in math, if we believe that we are bad in technology, if we believe that we are fat, if we believe that it's in our gene, if we believe that all our family has this problem, all these are internal beliefs that is hard to change just by trying to convince people. And the idea here that the internal false belief is the hardest one to change, because it deals with what people believe about themselves, and that's something that it's hard to change at its core. So we need to make sure that we can bring enough proof that this actually is a vehicle that can work without them putting extra effort into whatever they you have to sell them. This way, they can take the chance on wanting to try you. And the third false belief is the external false belief, and this is the most common, which is I don't have money, I don't have time, I need to speak to my spouse or partner. This kind of false belief are easy to overcome since you can pre-qualify it from the get-go, and you say, before we start this conversation, is there anybody in your life that needs to be present with us so that we can make a decision? If the answer is yes, then we want to make sure that they are present in this meeting so that we can have a constructive conversation, so that it's not at the end of the conversation we just go back and say, well, we can make a decision now. No, we want to be able to have all the stakeholders present so that we can make that right decision. So with that being said, these are the three major core elements that needs to change in order for possibility to change, in order to for the person to be able to change their minds. And all these, if you can notice, all these false beliefs has to do with the stories that we've been telling ourselves. If it's a product story, if it's a vehicle story, if it's a vehicle issue, then the story needs to be about the vehicle itself, and it's easy to overcome. If it's an internal issue, then the story needs to deal with the person, how the person is able to use your products in an efficient way without any issues. So there is always stories that manipulate who we are and how we do things in life. And the power of having a product that can help us actually change everything and tackle all these three pain points by actually proving that the vehicle is correct, making sure that we tackling all the internal issues, because we understand exactly who is our dream customer, what's their pain points, where they are struggling with, and what kind of issues they need to solve, and we can speak to the external issues. Then it's so much easier to deliver a sales call where we can actually close 80 to 90% of the prospect. So I think this is very important, because I'm not even talking about the fact that you have a tool that can write for you, because that's not a starter. There are thousands of tools out there that they can write any piece of content you want. I'm talking about a specific tool that can calibrate your voice, that can understand exactly and research who is exactly you, ask you the right questions, and be able to go to the nuances and understand exactly who is your dream customer, what their pain points and what they are struggling with, and understand all the different aspects of your business. If you want to write an email sequence, they understand what is it that you are trying to accomplish. If you are trying to write a landing page or a funnel, they understand what's your priorities and who you are trying to reach. So all these elements are extremely important. And since Agent Ignite is the only, in my knowledge, is the only one who can do these things, because it's built based on information that we already set up inside of it. So I think it can be a transformational tool. If you guys are interested, please let me know. I'll put the link below. And if you are interested, you can check it out. It's still in the launching phase, since we are still in the first few weeks of the launch, but I'll be more than happy to add you to the founding father. This way you can benefit from all the bonuses. So I will stop right here. If you have any comments, please make sure to comment below, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.